This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV Prime. In association with Micromax. Nothing like anything.
This was a mission stated in bold by the NDA government, and the budget 2014, the first one by the same government, reiterated this commitment by easing up FDI in construction, raising tax breaks on home loans and drawing out a vision for 100 smart cities. 9 months later, the government is back on the drawing board, preparing for a new economic blueprint. While the industry is hoping that this time around, the intention will go beyond the big picture. They will actually see action on making it easy to do the real estate business in the country. Welcome everyone to the pre-budget debate on housing. My panel today, Irfan Razak, Chairman and MD, Prestige Group. Mufattraj Munot, Chairman, Kalpataru Group. Sanjay Dutt, Executive Managing Director, South Asia, Cushman and Wakefield. Bhairav Dalal, Associate Director, Tax and Regulatory, PwC India. Pranav Ansal, Vice Chairman, Ansal API. Yash Gupta, Senior MD and Country Head, Heinz India. Sameer Jasuja, Founder and MD of Prop Equity. Well, all that I can say is that this is truly a dream panel. So, my first question is going to go to Bangalore. Much excitement, Mr. Razak, last year when NDA presented its maiden budget after years of complete silence on anything to do with real estate and housing. But now, 9 months hence, where do things stand? Which of these have helped? There's lots which was announced, but have things really improved on the ground?
That's a fantastic question, Manisha. On the ground, honestly, nothing has happened because the REIT announcement came as a big one. But again, because of confusion on taxation issues, nothing really has moved. So the expectation now that at least this budget, it will get clarified. It's basically on the dividend distribution tax, and if that becomes revenue neutral in the sense it becomes zero, then it works. Similarly, I believe that this budget should be talking about a whole lot of reforms, bringing in GST and you know, do away with the VAT service tax, duplication of taxes, the number of things that can be done. And I only hope this budget, for which we have great hopes for, will streamline these things and give a lot more clarity, and which will be a catalyst for people to invest in homes.
All right, Mr. Munot, how do things stand in terms of ease of doing business currently? Are you also in alignment with Mr. Razak saying things haven't changed?
Yeah, I do agree, fully agree with him, but I am still very hopeful. And with this renewal mission on this housing for all by 2020, will definitely will force them to do some quantum jump in everything which is required to be done, rather than an incremental.
Okay.
And that is how they, if they want to achieve that mission, this is what is expected out of them. That instead of an all incremental increase of benefits, whether it is an interest reduction in income tax or investment deductions, or the status has to be granted to infrastructure.
All right, so let me just, before I throw my next question to my panel, what are the expectations, and some of them are speculations from this budget? Housing for all, Mr. Munot mentioned, total estimated cost of the mission for this will be 12 lakh crore. And what are we taking as the ticket price per home is only 6 lakh rupees. We do know that it's very difficult to get a 6 lakh rupee home, but all right, that's the modest figure. With the centre's estimated support in the range 2 lakh crore is the initial assessment that the government needs to construct at least 16 lakh houses in Mumbai, 6 lakh in Delhi, and 4 lakh each in Chennai and Kolkata. So that's what developers are expecting. Fiscal incentives and clarity on provisioning of land among announcements that firm up. We all know that's become a very, very tricky issue. Cabinet is likely to clear the Sardar Patel housing. Let's hope that happens. So that's the big thing about housing for all. Pranav Bansal, you know, I went to the housing ministry to meet Mr. Naidu, and he said, forget the vision document. It's absolutely impossible to get things to move on ground. Well-intentioned government, I think we have to collectively hand that out to them, but things just don't move in this country. What's the problem?
See, I think this, every year when most of us are here on your panel, I think 2 points we've been discussing for years, and let's hope we have a solution to them. One is the infrastructure status for our sector. I think it's been about 15 years we've been talking about it. And infrastructure is given, status is given to roads, airports, everything else except real estate. So that is one part which and second is single window clearance, which is a point that is mentioned by everybody. I think it's a big, big concern, and like my other colleagues mentioned, nothing has changed on ground. In fact, I think things have only slowed down. In fact, now some of the developers are even talking that in India, you know, people say that the future is uncertain. I just hope our past is not uncertain. And some of the taxes and all which they might, there are some talks about something being introduced from the past. So I think that's a bigger concern. Of course, we all have great expectations and are very positive about the future and about the budget, but some concerns still exist, and they've been existing for years.
All right. So let's focus on that infrastructure status. So somebody says, let's get an industry status, infrastructure status. It's pretty much ease of capital, and long-term capital is what the industry needs. Yash Gupta, do you really think that the sector needs an infrastructure status? I mean, are you for the motion or against it? If the government keeps giving that to everybody, it's going to be a challenge on the revenue front, won't it?
I think that's a great question to ask, Manisha. The question is not whether it's infrastructure or industry status. The question is, what is the objective that we are trying to achieve here? The question that we're trying to achieve here is to make housing in general more affordable. And if you think about how to make housing more affordable, one of the ways is to decrease the cost of inputs, interest being a very, very high cost, and capital being, this being a very capital intensive industry. If the cost of capital, whether it's debt from the banks or whether it's equity, either from private equity or other sources, it tends to be very, very expensive in this market. If we are able to find a way to rationalize some of that cost of capital for the industry through things like infrastructure status or industry status or other means, it will definitely help in reducing the cost of housing and other real estate products, which is really the intention of the government. So if the government is intention in making real estate more affordable, sooner or later we will have to find a way to decrease the cost of capital for this industry, which tends to be one of the highest in the world today.
All right. Sanjay Dutt, would you buy that argument? Because, you know, irrespective, I just have this concern that if you make capital cheaper, that isn't the only reason why developers will bring the prices of homes down. There's just too much or too many factors affecting it. How important is the role of capital and cheaper capital to create that affordable housing stock which the country needs?
So Manisha, capital from last 2 years has become very critical because developers have no cash, largely because sales velocity has come down, and therefore it is important. But we've discussed several times earlier that land plays a very important role in the overall project of the total cost. And if the FSI is not cheap, if the opportunity to build that faster for cheaper, low-cost housing on the outer periphery where the transportation and public transport is good for the poor who need these housing, nothing will really come because there is no incentive for a developer to do low-cost housing. Their only incentive is to make more profit. So they will make more profit in projects where they will get better returns. And that seems to be the mid-segment and luxury segment and premium segment. Okay. Low cost, always discussed, but nobody approaches. And the simple reason for that is the low FSI or you put certain discipline that you can build X provided you do 20% of low-cost housing, and which is given an incentive. And then, of course, I agree with Yash, you do need capital. So there should be some tax benefit. Maybe ATIB should return, but it should be implemented correctly so that it actually goes to the people who are needy, and therefore the genuine needs of the poor are addressed.
Okay. Bhairav Dalal, from a taxation perspective, I've constantly heard from the industry complaints that it is an overly, heavily taxed industry, and that needs to change. That's another reason why the cost of homes are high in this country. Would you buy that argument? And also give us your views on, according real estate and infrastructure status, what does that do?
So in terms of the infrastructure status, I think I'll go with the argument that let's look at the end objective, what we have to achieve here, rather than going after an industry status. What we really want to do is, one, bring down the cost of capital as we've been discussing. Second, we also want to pass on some tax benefits on the entire value chain, right from the manufacturing of the products or the items that are used in real estate construction, to the construction activity itself, and to some of the sales which happen on the affordable housing side. If we address the tax concern of each of these items in the value chain, I think there will be some benefits, although I'm not sure if we'll be able to achieve the price tag of 6 lakh rupees for each house. I think that's something which is very, very difficult to achieve given the inflation we are in.
Okay, Sameer Jasuja, so we are talking about giving more to the industry, isn't it? So industry is cash strapped, I hear. It's very difficult for them to get approvals. And of course, if they were to get infrastructure status, guess what? They would be motivated to create a stock of affordable housing. Maybe not exactly that, but to somewhere, that's the message which is going out. Are you convinced?
Not really, Manisha. If you look at how the real estate industry works in India, and I'm not talking about commercial or I'm not talking about retail over here, when we talk about purely residential, till now residential real estate funding has purely happened through the consumer mostly, or the investor, the retail investor. And I think that the consumer and investor confidence is at an all-time low today.
Okay.
And if you were to be able to bring that back, if the developer community could bring that back, money has never been really that much of a constraint in real estate, and that's what has been witnessed in real estate price appreciation, irrespective of the money that has come in through the private equity domain or through the government funding, so to say. Our interest rates were still very high in 2010 and 2011. They were not down, and yet we were the real estate industry was booming. The second point that I would like to make is that there is a huge demand-supply mismatch. I think because of the pricing going so high, the luxury segment and the premium segment, and I'm not talking super luxury here because again there's a demand-supply mismatch where supply is very limited. But what has happened is, since developers have really concentrated on the premium and luxury segment, and our markets are not that deep, unfortunately, the affordability has just bottomed out over there.
So there are two things I think I would like my panel to address. One is the low buyer confidence. Can the budget fix that, or is it just a question of economic revival? The second thing is that how do you get affordable housing and developers to come together?